Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, whatever time of day it is you guys are watching. So, listen, there's a lot of things happening today, and I'm going to try and cover them all. I'm going to try and cover the battle. Listen, and if you're in the United Kingdom right now, let's just address the elephant in the room. You guys need to be prepared to fight, and I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about at the ballot box, of course. So we have this fight. Unraveling right now between the Islamists and the Reform. Basically, I'm going to cut to the chase, guys. That's what it is. Right now in Manchester, you have a straight-on slugging match between the Islamists and Reform. I.e., you have this by-election that Labour have given away, and it looks like the two front runners, and they look, honestly, guys, they look to be neck and neck at the moment. There's not really much in it. Reform have gone tinsy a little bit in front, but listen, we know what those Muslims are like. We know the Muslim vote comes out, and we know the Muslim vote is strong. But listen, and I'll come on to this after I've talked about Keir Starmer's trip to, I was going to say Spain, after I've spoken about Keir Starmer's trip to China. So before we get onto this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be covering a lot of things today. So before we get onto that, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit those buttons down below, ladies and gentlemen, those fantastic bell buttons, because that is the only way this channel grows. And let's just begin, because we are in Battlegrounds, ladies and gentlemen. The Battlegrounds have been announced. We are in a fight at the ballot box, of course, not physical. Nobody should be advocating for physical violence unless you're an Islamist, and then you're allowed to do that because reasons. But I know that if Lucy Conley, or if I said something like, what's his name, Sadif Butt, or whatever his name is, where he's telling people to smash people's teeth out, I would never say that, ladies and gentlemen. I would never say that. If I did, I would expect to be sent to prison. However, if you're an Islamist, it's totally fine. If you're a Muslim, it's totally fine. You're allowed to say that. So let's just get on with this, ladies and gentlemen. So let me cut through the fog of the latest diplomatic debacle that's happening in the United Kingdom. You guys have seen the headlines. Prime Minister Keir Starmer shrugging off Donald Trump's barbed words about budding ties with China. And I'm going to come on to why this is dystopian in a second, and what I think that is going to lead to in the United Kingdom, and how this is, of course, more fuel for a full-scale United States takeover of the United Kingdom. So Donald Trump's calling it very dangerous for Britain to be cozying up to Beijing, warning the United Kingdom not to look to China for the answer. So I'm gonna have to be like quite open about this. I think he's absolutely right. If I was doing any schmoozing as a world leader, I would be schmoozing up to the Americans, because I kind of like the American way of life more than I like the Chinese way of life. And look, I'll be quite clear. I want to be quite clear and open. I've got a friend who came back from Beijing, and he said, he's Scottish actually. He said, I came back from Beijing, Sean. It was fucking brilliant. I said, what do you mean? He said, just like everything, mate. They had everything. It was like 100 years in front of what we got in fucking Britain. I said, what do you mean? And he's just like, it's everything. So look, I want to be quite clear. I'm not throwing dirt on anyone. I've never been to China. I'd love to go. My friend came back, but look, social credit scoring, facial recognition, all this sort of stuff just seems dystopian. So Keir Starmer quipped at Trump. So basically, Donald Trump, when Keir Starmer basically was asked about what Donald Trump said, and he was asked to comment, he said, oh, he must have been mixing the United Kingdom up with Canada. Now, I don't know whether this is the case or not. I don't think it is. I think Donald Trump has got his eyes firmly set on the United Kingdom. But hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not laugh this off right now, because although we all think this is, some of you guys may think, oh, well, do you know what? I don't. I know some of you guys may think, oh, well, do you know what? China have got a great this, they've got great that. What they don't have is great human rights records. And I know you guys love your human rights. So this isn't just transatlantic banter. This is a red flag waving furiously by the wind. by resetting relationships with Xi Jinping. We're not just talking about trade deals or handshakes. We are opening the door, and this is where it gets. This is where you start to join the dots. We're not just, this is not just a trade deal where we're going to get, like, I don't know, Chinese whatever, and the Chinese are going to get like roast beef. I don't know. This is a lot darker. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. China's playbook is all about control, and if we deepen these ties with Stasi Starmer, some people, not me, I'm not calling him Stasi Starmer, but some people are naming him Stasi Starmer, we will import the very same dystopian toolkit. So, can you imagine it, right? Honestly, like, can you imagine it right now? Britain is a supposed ally of the United States, and then we come to some sort of trade deal with China where we're sharing military technology. Go American, all right? I'm Team America. I'm all for American. If you guys want to call me out on that and say, hey, Sean, do you know what? Your friend was right. I've been to Beijing and it's far better than X, Y, and Z because of these reasons. Please, throw it out there. I do welcome diverse opinions. So if we deepen these ties, we are going to import this dystopian toolkit as well. Lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. Facial recognition cameras on every corner. We are already seeing them right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me I'm lying. Put it in the chat if you think that's not already happening. Facial recognition cameras everywhere, scanning your every move. Not for safety, but to track, to understand, to preempt. Oh, for example, Sean was online the other day and he was looking at, and when he was scrolling, he looked at this post for 4 seconds rather than the cursory 6. That must mean he's got anti-government thoughts. Right. Okay. John, who also looked at this same post for 6 seconds, he was in the same area. So those guys must be, can you imagine it? We've already got a taste, of this with our own surveillance creep in the United Kingdom. But if we amp this up Chinese style, say goodbye to privacy. Literally say goodbye to privacy, and it's already coming. Hello, Big Brother, watching your every move. Everything you buy in Tesco's, every pint you buy in the pub, every ribeye that you consume. I mean, can you imagine it? Can you imagine, like, if I get a message on my phone and it's like, Sean, you've already eaten 2 ribeyes today. And I'm like, yeah, that was breakfast. Then there's the social credit scoring. Yes, social credit scoring. So basically, in a nutshell, social credit scoring, if you disagree with the government, you get points taken off you. It's already coming, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody's got children in the United Kingdom, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? If you've got children in the United Kingdom, they already have it. Remember, what do I always say? When you're between 10 and 14, you're at a very impressionable age. So guess what? When you're between the ages of 10 and 14, you get something at school called dojo points. Look, guys, if you're not from the United Kingdom or you're a little bit too old to understand what I'm talking about, kids at school now, their teachers give them something called a dojo point. I don't know what it stands for. And the more dojo points you get, like so if you've been good and done exactly what the teacher says, at the end of the week or the end of the month, whatever it is, you get like a biscuit or something. And they say, right, all the children who've done well with the dojo points, here's your biscuit. You children who didn't do well, don't have the biscuits. So one of the girls, do you know what? This is quite funny, actually, right? One of the girls, I'm not going to tell you, obviously, I'm not going to tell my kids' names. One of the girls, she said, yeah, I'm not interested about dojo points. And the teacher said to her, but you won't get a biscuit. And she said, yeah, that's fine. I don't want a biscuit. And like the teacher, we got called in and the teacher saying, oh, your little girl, she says she's not bothered about the dojo points. I was like, well, I don't know what you want me to say. She's like, Well, we told her she wouldn't get a biscuit at the end of the week, and she says she doesn't want a biscuit anyway. And it was really funny, but obviously, you've got to, when you're a parent, you've got to say, right, I've got to do your homework and stuff. So social credit scoring, ladies and gentlemen, it is already coming. Remember, when those children that are like 10, 14 now, I don't know how long dojo scoring's been going, but when those children grow up, guess what is already ingrained into them? Social credit scoring. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, social credit scoring is already ingrained into our children. That nightmare system where your good citizen rating dictates your life. So can you imagine, right? Somebody punches you and you run on the street, or you get into somebody's trying to beat you up. Somebody's trying to go stabby, and you run down the streets. Guess what? You're now a jaywalker. Social credit scoring down. If you criticize the government online, social credit scoring down. If you look at a post for too long, social credit scoring down. Before you know it, you're going to be barred from trains, you're going to be barred from jobs, you're going to be barred from shops. You will not be able to buy anything. And then we're going to start to bring in universal basic income, UBI. Sounds benevolent, right? Sounds like it's going to be a safety net through tough times for anyone. But here's the tie. I'm going to tie it to China's model, right? And it's going to be a leash around your neck, ladies and gentlemen. Handouts only to the compliant. Can you imagine it? Universal basic income. Oh, Sean, you looked at this post for 4 seconds. I mean, listen, if they saw me looking at those penguin posts, I'd be doomed. It'd be game over how many penguin posts I've been looking at. Oh, Sean, we saw your facial emotions when you was watching that little penguin walk off on his own, thinking, do you know what? I got this with his little flapperons. Flapperons? I don't even know if that's a word. What am I thinking of? Flapperons? Is that even a word? Flapperons? Am I thinking of like flapping and ailerons? I think I am. I definitely am. Listen, I'm a fully qualified English gentleman, okay? And it's my birthright. Yes, it's my birthright to make up words. All words are made up, right? So these are going to be monitored. And if you're looking at social media posts for too long, if you don't agree with the government, you will not be given your universal basic income. It's going to be monitored through a digital wallet, an app that logs your every transaction, your every location. And then what that will do is, if you think about facial recognition, oh, Sean, we saw your wallet moving down High Street, but we didn't see your face. Please explain within 24 hours or drop 2 points. Oh, shit. You see where we're going, right? You see where we're going. It's not welfare, it's warfare. It's weaponized dependency. That's what I should say. That should be on a t-shirt, right? It's not welfare, it's warfare. It's weaponized dependency, ensuring that you toe the party line, you agree with the government, or you don't eat. Oh, Sean, you don't agree with the government? No. Well, you're not eating. I'm turning you off, and it's just going to be a clerical error. Oh, man. Starmer's visit, this is the thin edge of the wedge. And I've used that phrase a few times. This is the thin edge of the wedge. And we are sleepwalking into this surveillance state where freedom is just a fond memory. You know how we look at, I had one to share, I can't find it. You know how we look back at images and videos of Britain in the 1950s or like the 1900s? And we see all these and look, London back in the 1900s was predominantly white. You have all these well-dressed people. Everybody's well-dressed, right? All the men are wearing suits and three-piece suits and ties, and the women have got long dresses and these fantastic umbrellas. And then where we are right now. But listen, guys, this is where we're approaching right now. We are sleepwalking into a surveillance state, and Starmer's visit to China is just the thin edge of that wedge. It is. It's a thin edge of that wedge. We're looking at facial recognition, universal basic income, and social credit scoring. Neither of those things do I welcome. Neither of them. Right, let me jump onto the chat, ladies and gentlemen, because I've got loads to get through today. I've got loads to get through today. Sean, do you think 15-minute cities will tie in with social credit scoring? Absolutely, Donna Jenkins. Donna Jenkins, with your beautiful golden hair and golden locks. I absolutely do, yeah. Think about it, right? You live in a 15-minute city. You have to apply for a license to leave that city, right? And this is as far as Oxford City Council. So as far as I understand, Oxford City, they've segregated their city into 6 zones: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or A, B, C, D, E, F. I don't, whatever. Now, as I understand it, if you live in zone 1, right? It might not be called zone 1, but if you live in zone 1 and you want to travel to zone 2 to see your mum, the easiest way, right, is a straight line. But you can't do that. So what you have to do is now you have to come out of the zones onto the ring road, round the outside, round the outside, round the outside, round the outside, and back into the other zone. So what I think, but what you can do is you can apply for a permit. Just listen to the words I'm saying right now, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to these words. And I'm not telling you the script of a dystopian movie. I'm telling you life in modern Britain. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you the script, I'm telling you life. So what you've got to do is, if your mum lives, if you're right on that border, basically, or whatever, and your mum lives on the other side, you have to come out all the way around and back in. But you can apply. You can apply for a permit to say, oh, well, my mum lives there and I need to go straight across. Now, of course, this is going to start lenient. But in time, as the totalitarian grip tightens, it will be tied to social credit scoring. That's what I think anyway. D-Marie Gen X is saying 100. D-Marie Gen X, is that a picture of a cow? D-Marie Gen X, have you got a picture of a cow? 100 days you're allowed to leave your zone in 1 year, apparently. No. So, okay. So, as it is now, and look, guys, I don't live in Oxford, so the information I give you may be slightly wrong. I'm not meaning to. I'm genuinely. I never mean to mislead anyone. But my understanding is you're allowed 100 trips. So if you go there and back, and then you forget your keys, or probably not forget your keys. If you forget your wallet or your purse or your phone, and you have to go there and back again, that counts as 2, right? So I think it's 100 trips you're allowed to do. I don't think it's 100 days. But listen, anyway, these things are going to change. These things are going to change. Look, everyone was happy with furlough, so they'll be happy in 15-minute cities. Listen, debatable lands, right? I'm not saying any of this stuff's bad, is going to be bad. I'm saying I think it's going to be bad, right? And I might be wrong. I might be wrong. All right? I've been wrong before. I have. It was a Tuesday. It may turn out, right? It may turn out that Keir Starmer's plan is fantastic. By the time 2030 comes, nobody owns anything. Everybody's happy, and society is functioning fabulously. I don't think that's going to be the case. I want to be quite clear on that. I think we're heading towards a dystopian nightmare, but, I'll give them the due. That's where we're going. James is saying, wait a second. If that's the example, then let's scale it up about going to work. If you don't go to work, you don't get paid. But if you go to work, you get paid. So, yeah, the same thing. Well, you see, as AI, right, artificial intelligence is going to take a shitload of jobs anyway, right? So if you are in logistics, if you're in transport, if you're in delivery, those things are slightly different. If you do anything with a computer, if you do anything in media, if you do anything with the arts, AI's taking your job. It has. It's taking your job already. You just don't know it, right? So there's going to be a lot of people unemployed anyway, and AI is going to be doing those jobs. And again, you know, this could bring people into broad sunlit uplands when we sit around eating grapes or ribeye, like little ribeyes cut into like thin strips and dip them in cheese sauce or something. I don't know. Maybe that could be the case. I don't think it is. Galloway Raider is saying, Starmer can get stuffed. I'll still be doing my own thing regardless. Right. Right. Galloway Raider, have you heard anything about what I'm saying, boy? All right? Like, listen, Galloway Raider. Right. Do you care what I mean? Do you care what I mean, Galloway Raider? Hey, do you hear me? Right. I said like violence. Can ye project as much violence as the state? I didn't think so, boy. I didn't think you can produce that violence, boy. But I know the state can produce that violence if you disagree with them. So I suggest you come in plan, right? And you come in line with a plan. So for those of you guys who don't speak Scottish, what I was saying there to Galloway Raider is the government will track you down. The government will impose heavy tariffs, heavy penalties on you. And that's what will happen. That is what is going to happen. And these things are going to come so slowly that it's going to be slow. And we don't even, you know, and before we know it, we're already going to be doing it anyway. Look, the amount of money that is being spent on, do you know the United Kingdom, we spend like, I think it's like 10 times, somebody fact check me. Can somebody fact check me? But we spend 10 times more on welfare than we do on defense. Think about that. We spend 10 times more on free money for people than we do on guns, tanks, bombs, trains, planes, automobiles. And somebody's fact check me on that. I may be slightly off on that, but it's a lot more, right? It's a lot more. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Groom. Oh, I'm just going to call him Jim. Jim is saying, you dimwits are going to be praying towards Mecca and won't do a thing about it. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to come on to the next topic I've got now. Like I said, I've got quite a lot to get through today. I'm going to talk about the battleground now. So the headline of this live stream is Prepare to Fight. And this really is coming now, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to hit hard. This is going to be, listen, we have, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, we have convicted terrorists. I'm not speculating. We have convicted terrorists who plan to blow up the British consulate in Yemen, now standing for election. That's the reality. That's where we are in modern Britain, ladies and gentlemen. So Battleground Britain is here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to talk about this real quick. This story starts with Andy Burnham, right? So for those of you guys don't know, there was like one of the Labour candidates stood down to cause a by-election. And then Andy Burnham, who's the mayor of Manchester, wanted to stand. Now, Andy Burnham is a direct threat to Keir Starmer. So Keir Starmer didn't let him stand. So basically, right, the Labour government have just handed over a seat to either Reform or the Greens. And I know Reform is at the front now. I know Reform is pulling ahead at the moment, but look, let's not look, so basically right now we have a fight between Reform and the Islamists in Gorton and Denton. And this is Battleground Britain, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. People say that the voting system is rigged. There's a lot of problems with the voting system, but the actual votes, it's very difficult to, like, once those votes are cast, and yes, postal votes, massive problem, massive block voting. You don't need to send, look, if, in the United Kingdom, right, to buy a pack of cigarettes, I don't smoke, but to buy a pack of cigarettes, you need to show ID. To get into a nightclub, you need to show ID. But to vote, to choose the government, you don't need to show ID. That's the system we've got. So there's a lot of problems we've got with the voting system in the United Kingdom. Miscounting of votes, I don't think that's a thing. There's too many eyes on those votes, guys. I've done this a few times myself. There's too many eyes on those votes. So the Labour government have just handed over an easy seat on a plate to either Reform or the Green Party, and say that to yourselves. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen, just for 5 seconds, all right? Just sit in quiet contemplation, right? And think how bad things are, right? And how I'm struggling for words that won't get me banned. Think how dystopian this is, right? The Labour government in the United Kingdom they're behind in every poll, right? They're behind in every poll. So another seat, keeping a seat would be a good thing. Unless you think there's going to be a third world war and there's not going to be another election. So you would think that keeping that seat would be a good thing, right? No. They've said, Andy Burnham, I know you would win that seat, but no, you're not coming in. So they've just thrown that seat away and either given that to the Islamists with the Green Party, or they've given that to Reform. I honestly don't know which one. I don't know which one. Now, of course, you guys are joining for the first time. This is Gorton and Denton by-election. So the Labour would rather lose the seat to Reform UK than let the most popular Labour figure in the North return to Westminster. Ladies and gentlemen, if that sentence doesn't say everything about what is wrong with this country right now, nothing else will. I'll say it again. Labour would rather lose the seat to Reform or the Green Party than let the most popular Labour figure in the North return to Westminster. Because if he returns to Westminster, he is a challenge. He's a threat to Keir Starmer. And remember, Keir Starmer and his overlords don't like threats. They don't like threats. They just stop threats. So think about it. This is a rock-solid Labour heartland. Greater Manchester. Andrew Gwynn won it with over 50%. That's massive, guys, in an election. If you win with 50%, so you think you've got 50% and all the other party, well, you actually had over 50%. So if you've got 51%, all the other parties together don't even equal you. So it's a massive percentage, right? 50% is a massive percentage. This was back in 2024. We're in 26 now. Wow. But after Gwynn stepped down on health grounds, the obvious choice to hold it was Andy Burnham, the King of the North. He thinks he's the King of the North. Listen, I'm the real King of the North, all right? And I do think I'm going to take that throne very soon. I do. I think when Britain gets recarved, and you get the 12 barons, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be one of the kings. Maybe the King of Northumbria or something. But Andy Burnham, the Dean, the King of the Northwest. Let's call him King of the Northwest. We'll go King of the Northwest. Northwest. Greater Manchester's mayor, the man who trounces opponents locally and has a profile to unite the left voters against the rising reform tide. He put his name forward, saying he was in the best position to fight back against Farage's crew. What did Keir Starmer do and the Labour Party? They voted Keir Starmer reportedly in the room to block him. 8-1 against. That's what they were saying. 8-1 against to block Andy Burnham from standing in the election. If this doesn't tell you what type of dystopian country we are in now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what will. The official line: it would cost too much and disrupt things to hold a mayoral by-election in Burnham quite early. But come on, guys. So are we really saying that the Labour Party would rather hand this seat over to Reform or the Greens? We are in battleground Britain, ladies and gentlemen. So look at the mess. Reform of putting this parachuted in high-profile Matt Goodwin, who's is he an ex? I think he's still a GB News presenter. He's a populist firebrand. He's turning this into their big push. And you know what, guys? It's going to be crazy because let's not write off the Green Party, because the Green Party have put their candidate forward as well. And the Green Party is massively supported by the Islamists. So we literally, right now, there is no centre ground. There is no centre ground in Manchester at the moment. We literally have left versus right, Islamists versus patriots. That's what we're going to have in Manchester, ladies and gentlemen. And regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a wake-up call. It's going to be a wake-up call. If the Islamists win and the Green Party are in, then it's going to be a wake-up call for everybody else. Because let's not forget, we have convicted terrorists now who think it's okay. Which, do you know what? Who am I to judge? Right? Who am I to judge? We have convicted terrorists who don't think it's okay to stand, who know it's okay to stand for an elected position in the British government. And you know what? I think he's going to win. I do. I think he's going to win in Birmingham, the location that this guy's standing, Butt, B-U-T-T. I can't believe that's his name. But I do think he's going to win. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The two things I wanted to talk about, and I am going to jump onto the NHS in a minute. I'm going to jump onto the NHS because for those of you guys who think the NHS is fantastic, all right, it turns out the NHS is worse than Sudan. Sudan, yeah? Do you guys know where Sudan is? It's like, where is that? Like Central Africa. The National Health Service in the United Kingdom is worse than Sudan for causing patient deaths. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. The United Kingdom, the National Health Service, ranks in the bottom third of global studies for deaths from adverse effects of basically medical negligence, right? I'll talk about this shortly. So, you know, when I come on the live stream and I get it, you know, you know what? The NHS, I know a lot of, look, if we didn't have an NHS, if we didn't have a health service, a lot of people wouldn't be here right now. My granddad included. He's dead now, but he had a heart attack. An ambulance came and they revived him 4 times in the back of that ambulance, right? So my granddad, my family, you know, my granddad lived I think he lived another 4 years. My granddad lived another 4 years. So to the NHS and the ambulance crew, my heart, honestly, thank you so much. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to cry now. Is someone cutting onions? Who's cutting onions? Who started cutting onions? Who's cutting onions? Who's cutting onions in here? Who was it? Who's cutting onions? So I owe to the NHS an extra 4 years with my granddad, right? Yeah. So I owe to the NHS an extra 4 years with my granddad. I know a lot of you guys will be the same. What I say is, and I think people think I'm being overly negative. I think people think I'm being overly negative. I'm not. What I'm saying is they can do a lot better. They can do an absolute lot better. And it turns out, again, I was right because the NHS is worse than Sudan. Right, let me get some chat. I'll talk about the NHS. I'll take my keys out of my pocket because they're really hurting. Kev Mills is saying there's... I think he means a strong. I think your fingers got too fast. I think Kev Mills' fingers went too fast. I think Kev Mills is saying there is a strong Patriot holding in Birmingham, but vastly outnumbered. Kev Mills, I hope you listen, guys. It's Friday, and I listen, guys. It's Friday, and I know everybody's having a drink. Just read your message before you send it, right? Vastly outnumbered. Those guys and girls will be there for a fight, but have no politics, no political weight. And this is the problem. When you have no political weight, you have nothing. Because guess what? You know when... so this is what happens. I'm seeing this so many times, right? People get in power. Remember, I grew up in Rotherham. I know what happens when you have a leadership at town hall level, at city level, at council level, who are saying, don't investigate these crimes. Investigate these crimes. So, for example, right now you've got, let's just pretend you have a massive patriot stronghold in Birmingham with no political influence. The problem is, those people get taken down. Those people get arrested. Those people get sent to prison. Listen, Kev Mills, do you know what? I should go to Cleethorpes. Listen, Kev Mills, what I'm going to suggest to you is tell your friends, right, to follow me when I go and declare the first republic, the first independent republic of Cleethorpes. Joe, let me give me a second. I want to find out what Cleethorpes would be under. Right, give me a second. Right, here we are. Where is it? I think it's this one. So, oh, God. Oh, there we are. Right, so, yeah. So, Cleethorpes would be under the Earl of, it would either be, it would be the Lindsays, or the North, what would be the, it would be the Angles. So, Cleethorpes would be the Angles, and it would be... It would either be the Mercians or the Northumbrians. Listen, I feel like I could be the king of Mercia. Yeah, I think I should be the king of Mercia. I think I'm going to be the king of Mercia, guys. Yeah, I'm going to be the king of Mercia. Raven, king of Mercia. Yeah, I'll take that. I will absolutely take that. I'll take that. I'll take the first independent republic of Cleethorpes. I will. I'll take the first independent republic of Cleethorpes. And then from there, we will stretch out. We will stretch out as a team, and we will become the greatest, most powerful nation the world has ever seen. The sun will never set on the Mercian Empire, on Raven's Mercian Empire. No, it will not. The sun will never set on the Ravens' Mercian Empire. Right. Sooty is saying, we continue to piss on our big furry... What? I don't even know what that means. Listen, is anyone sober? Is anyone sober in here tonight, guys? Or is it just me? Is it just me? Andrew Rubin. Hello, Andrew Rubin. Andrew Rubin, right at the beginning of this live stream, you said I was late. I am not late for parade, good sir. I turn up exactly when I intend to. No, so I always turn the live stream. I always put the subject matter about past or as close as I can. I will always be on at 10 in the morning and 8 in the evening, unless something's gone catastrophically wrong and we've got no internet or I've been arrested or whatever for double think. But Cleethorpes, yeah, honestly, guys, I do think Cleethorpes is going to be that place. I do. I think Cleethorpes is going to be that place. Martin Quinn is saying, why Cleethorpes? It's a shithole. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right? I was on a live stream a while ago and I was talking about how to form a stronghold. And I just, real quick in my head, I thought, right, where would I form a stronghold? And first of all, if you're in a coastal town, you half your attack routes, right? Because nobody, realistically, in a civil war, nobody's going to attack you from the sea. They're not. It's just not going to happen, right? So I was thinking about seaside towns, all right? And then I thought, right, you need a seaside town with an established dock because it's got the cranes, it's got the facilities to take ships. And I thought, oh, okay, right, Cleethorpes. And then the more I thought about Cleethorpes, if you think about Cleethorpes, you've got northeast Lincolnshire, you've got Grimsby, you've got Hull, you've got that little area. You've got the what is it? Not the Forth Bridge? That's in Scotland. You've got the Severn Bridge, or not the Severn Bridge? The bridge going over the River Humber, the Humber Bridge. That's what it's called. And I was thinking, wow, that is actually like strategically, that's perfect because you've just got open, flat countryside around Cleethorpes, very defensible. You have a lot of potential for Cleethorpes, guys. You do. You really do have a lot of potential, like strategically, on a military level. Cleethorpes may or may not be a shithole, I don't know, but it's in a very strategic location. Absolutely, it's like strategic gold, Cleethorpes, guys. Honestly, it is. I've said this quite a few times. I'm just jumping to the bottom. Plenty of food at the coast, tons of seafood. And as well, because it's at the coast, our allies in the United States could bring in supplies, they could bring in weapons. Could you imagine if I had an army? Could you imagine if I had the first order of Cleethorpians? I mean, can you imagine how sweet their uniform would be? Honestly, can you imagine how terrified you would be if you heard the first order of Ravens Cleethorpians are coming and you're like dun 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 dun, and I'm like walking and I'd have a cape on. I'd have a badass cape, maybe even a hood. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far into that. But yeah, Cleethorpes, Cleethorpes is really a strategic location. Right, let me jump onto this NHS thing, guys. Give me a second. Let me jump onto this NHS thing. Right, so the NHS, right? So for those of you guys who don't know, there was an article published in the Telegraph yesterday or maybe today. I don't know. I don't even know what date it is. What date is it? 30th. It might have been today, it might have been yesterday, I don't know. But the article is titled, "The NHS is worse than Sudan for causing patient deaths." Think about that. And I know a lot of people, I know a lot of people, me included, owe their families' lives to the NHS. And I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm not taking anything away from that. Trust me. The NHS gave me 5 extra years with my granddad, and I would give everything that I've got now for another 4 years. I'd give everything I've got right now for just to see my granddad again. I saw him the day he died. I'm going to get a little bit personal now, guys. I'm going to get a little bit personal. So no jokes, please. No jokes. I'm going to get personal. I saw my granddad the day he died. I went to see him in the morning. And I went to see my granddad in the morning. And we had a plum tree in the garden. We had a plum tree from SAP. No, it wasn't. It was about that big. We bought it from the garden centre. And it was a massive plum tree. And I saw him in the garden. We've got a balcony. Well, they had a balcony. It's got balustrading around the balcony. And there's 2 lampposts on maybe 45, 2 balconies basically. We used to go and sit and have his dinner outside on the balcony and terrace or whatever. And the plum tree was growing. And the very day that he died, what we were going to do is we wanted to, we was talking, and we said, yeah, do you know what we should do? We should get the plum trees, we should get the like the branches to wind in and out of this balustrading and like have it all over the, so imagine like the plum tree, one of the branches going down the balustrading, and there's plums all over it. And I went into the house, and there was like this ball of string. It was like white nylon string. And I pulled the branch towards one of the lampposts on the right-hand side. And I tied it at the base of the lamppost. Anyway, when my nan died, maybe 3 or 4 years after that, I went round to the house, and that piece of nylon string was still there. I've got it in the house, that piece of nylon string. Out of everything else, that piece of nylon string, honestly, guys, that piece of nylon string absolutely took me to the candy shop. It didn't take me to the candy shop. That piece of nylon string, I just had it in my hands, and I honestly, like, I was in bits with that piece of nylon string in my hand. What that piece of nylon string represented. To anyone else, that piece of nylon, it's nothing. You throw it in the bin. But I knew exactly what that piece of nylon string represented. So anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. When we talk about the NHS, I know how valuable the NHS are. And I know that a lot of people's friends, families, aunts, uncles, granddads, mine included, owe their lives to the NHS. Now, I'm not taking anything away with that. What I'm saying is it could be a lot better. So this article came out on the, like yesterday or something, saying that the NHS is worse than Sudan for causing patient deaths. It reported on findings from the Global State of Patient Safety 2025, a study which ranks countries based on death rates from adverse effects of medical treatment, i.e. medical errors. There's no other way you can define that. So the key details from this reporting were the United Kingdom, which was clearly primarily reflecting the NHS performance. And again, the statistics, you could argue that in Sudan, they have a different medical system, so they don't have a lot more people may or may not die. I don't have the data, but a lot of people may die, more people may die unnecessarily in Sudan, but the way the system's set up, look, statistics can be, you can lie with statistics, right? The UK, which was clearly primarily reflecting the NHS, ranks 141 down out of 205 countries, placing them in the bottom third globally for these deaths. Whether you want to make the analogy of the Sudan or not, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we are in the bottom third, which I don't think is a good thing. I've never been in the bottom third. And for those of you guys in the military, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is an increase from 25 years ago. So what happened? What's happened in the last 25 years, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think's happened? What do you think has happened to the NHS in the last 25 years? What do you think's happened? What's happened to the NHS in the last 25 years? I don't know. The UK is described as having a higher than Sudan's marginally, but more than, basically, the United Kingdom is not doing, the NHS is not doing well, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. And this report, I'm just going to leave it here because I'm conscious of the time. If you guys want to go and read that yourselves, this is an article that's out in the Telegraph, January the 29th. January the 29th, 2026, NHS worse than Sudan for causing patient deaths. Now, if you go to hospital for something, you shouldn't think or you shouldn't, you shouldn't think that you're gonna become a patient, right? That's not a thing. That shouldn't happen. Right. I'm gonna get into the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Then I'm gonna go back to Prepare to Fight, Battleground Britain, what Trump said, very dangerous, and we're going to talk about the things that are coming in the future. Right. Cindy Archer's jumped on, is saying, running bear, they take your organs. What? You have to opt out. They automatically have you as a donor now. They changed it to opt out and they don't make it. But right, I don't know what that means. Debatable Lands is saying the NHS are terrible. Some nurses are okay. The NHS is terrible. Yes, I agree. Look, I don't want to go over old tropes because I know it gets people angry. But I don't think the NHS, I think privatization of the NHS, i.e. when you pay for something, when we pay for look, and for those people, oh, Sean, we shouldn't have to pay for the NHS. Listen, we pay for the NHS anyway. Where do you think that money comes from? Where do you think that money comes from that pays doctors, 100 retired doctors, 100 grand a year to sit on a committee? That comes from taxes, right? That comes from taxes. Where do you think those stethoscopes and those MRIs and all the rest of the swizzle comes from? It comes from taxes. Tax. So we pay for the NHS anyway. The problem is we pay for it, but we don't get to choose. Would you trust a doctor that you don't know that a woman is? Would you trust a doctor that don't know what a woman is? I don't know what the question is there. Would I trust a doctor that's a woman? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'd be questioning everything she said. No. Would I trust a doctor that was a woman? I would question everything she said. Absolutely. Like if a female, my old boss was a doctor, right? And she was a woman, and she was, right? If she's listening, I don't know if she will. I don't know if she's going to listen to this. She was the best boss I've ever worked for. I promise you, I'm not going to tell you her name, but she is the best and most brilliant woman I've ever met. The best and most brilliant woman I've ever worked for. And she was amazing. But I've only ever met one of them. I've only ever met one. So assuming it's not my old boss, would I trust a woman doctor? Absolutely not. I would not trust a woman doctor. No. Are women allowed to be doctors? I don't know. Are women allowed to be doctors? I'm not sure they are. The French shelf system is better than here, and you don't know how much I hate saying that. Listen, I learned a lot of stuff when I went over to France, last month. I learned a lot when I went over to France. There's a lot about French culture that I didn't realize. Listen, when you go to France, I like cured meats, right? I like cured meats. And my mate me and my friend who were out there, we went to this restaurant, right? And the lady, she said to me, would you like a sausage? I went, what? She said, would you like some sausage? I said, yeah, I'd love some. She said, oh, and then she brought like this smoked sausage or something out on like a tray, and she cut it and she let me taste it. And it was on like a little wooden, this special sausage. And you would do a fine wine. And I thought, you know what? That is fantastic. That is awesome. That is just absolutely brilliant. So yes, the French health system, I've no doubt it's much better than here. And a lot of people talk about look, when I go to other countries, when I've done medical assessments in other countries, they don't say, let's model ourselves on the NHS. No, they don't say that. They say, let's model ourselves on the American Health Service. That's what they say, because you've got to get money from somewhere. People don't like paying taxes. People like getting quick service. Look, guys, the NHS, it's over. It's obsolete. It's done. If it was up to me, I would privatize the whole thing. Christendom Defender is saying, just for starters. Are we talking about sausage? I don't know. We're talking about sausage. Suti is saying, this chap sounds like I'm watching this in This Is England film. Yes, because I'm clearly going to be the king of Mercia. Did I say Mercia? Yeah, I think I'm going to be the king of Mercia. I feel I'm growing my hair long. I'm growing my hair long to be the king of Mercia. X82 is saying cured meat is the best. It is. Do you know what? I think I'm going to make some beef jerky tomorrow. Right, let me jump back on track because we're going on a massive side quest here. Harvey, what sort of name is Harvey? I don't know. What name is Harvey? I don't know. Guess who's back again? I don't know. Who's back again? Tell me who's back again. Yeah, we've done that one. I had come cracking ham. I had come cracking cured ham. X82, what you do in your private life is nothing to do with me, but please keep it private. James, yes, the silver price has absolutely plummeted today. It's dropped down like an absolute candy swizzler. Listen, I still buying silver coins. Listen, this is just me. This is me. I'm not, this is me. I still think buying silver coins is the way ahead because the utility of silver coins is more than gold coins, right? Imagine if currency collapses, right? Currency collapses, people are burning money, nobody cares. People are trading in jerry cans of diesel, right? Because that's what happens. People trade in jerry cans of diesel. I still believe silver is going to have utility, right? Think about it. You go into a supermarket with an ounce coin of silver. It's worth 50 quid or whatever it's worth. You can get goods or services for that amount of money, right? You can trade, you can barter. Try going into a store with an ounce coin of gold. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So yes, the silver price has plummeted. What I think's happened is people are just making money on it. People are just making, like they do with Bitcoin. I think eventually the silver price is going to continue to rise. So buy the dip, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not financial advice. That's my own personal advice. Right. Right, let me jump back, ladies. Let me jump back, okay? So the title of this live stream is Prepare to Fight. Now, I'm talking about the wild scenario, the absolutely insane, bonkers scenario that we have in the United Kingdom right now, where the Labour government who are like flatlining in all the polls. What is it when you're like, when you're flatlining and you're dead? Can you do below? What's it when you're like below flatlining? Because that's pretty much where Labour are, isn't it? So Labour would rather lose the seat to Reform or the Green Party than let the most popular Labour figure in the North return to Westminster. And I'm obviously talking about Andy Burnham. Now, this is the absolute battleground, ladies and gentlemen. Now, regardless of who wins, whether this is the Greens, and don't write the Greens off, even though Reform are in the lead at the polls. Look, and I hope Reform, I want Reform to win. I do. I absolutely do want Reform to win. I'm just being realistic, right? The Muslim vote, the Islamist vote, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. So let's not write off the Green Party. Let's not write off the Islamists. Whatever the outcome is, it's going to be a massive wake-up call for everyone. Whether Reform win, and that's going, whether Reform win, and that's going to be Nigel Farage shaking hands to like Matt Goodwin, or whether the Islamists are going to win and they're all going to be waving their Palestinian flags and praying. I don't know. It's going to be a massive wake-up call to everybody, because be under no illusion, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be prepared to fight. At the ballot box, of course, I wouldn't I wouldn't be speculating violence. I'm talking about the ballot box. I wouldn't. Listen, I'm not Muslim. I'm not. So I know that if I said things like a Muslim, like knock people's teeth out, I'd be arrested. And I wouldn't say that anyway, because I think it's ridiculous. I think as soon as humans stop fighting each other and build spaceships, the better everything's going to be for everyone. Really, it is. As soon as you stop fighting each other and start building spaceships, the better for everything. Everything's going to be for everyone. Yes, it is. That's the reality. And we are living in battleground Britain, where the battlegrounds are becoming more polarized. And remember those three things, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the three things that I gave you. Excuse me. Oh, God. So if you guys can remember, you know, the three harbingers I told you guys about, the polarization, fractional, that polarization, erosion of state legitimacy, and ethnic replacement. The first one here is polarization. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing polarization. You either vote reform or you're an Islamist. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. And, you know, I get a lot of this, you know, where people are like, oh, Sean, you're this, Sean, you're this. Look, you can take little bits from each one of these things. And look, you know, I'm going to say things here that's going to annoy people. I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I have. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. And I'm going to put it to you that my time in the Middle East was positive. I've met fantastic Muslim people. I have. Really good people. Like if you go to Amman in Jordan, like right now, if anybody can find a live webcam of Amman in Jordan, you'll see this. Beautiful country. Beautiful city. Amman in Jordan, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I'm going to go to Spain on holiday. It's going to be right good. Yeah, I'll let you in for a secret. It's not. It's not going to be good. It's going to be horrible. You're going to eat British food. You're going to drink British beer. You're just going to be hot. But it's not going to be good. If you go to Amman in Jordan, honestly, you get this beautiful architecture. I don't know how many thousands of years old this architecture is. You get this wonderful city in Jordan, Amman, capital city. You get Muslims and Christians living together with, like, they're not fighting on the streets. They serve alcohol. Yeah, they serve alcohol on the, you know, in the restaurants, in the bars in Amman. Nobody's out on the streets fighting. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens when people come to the United Kingdom. It just goes bonkers. It just all goes wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it is. But my time in the Middle East has always been on the whole positive. Yes, of course, I've seen some very bad things in the Middle East as well. But in general, you know, it's been a positive experience. Right. David King is saying the Outer Hebrides looks safe. Yeah, I thought you said I saw that and I thought you said herbicide looks safe. I was like, oh, are you drinking those Tide pods? Is it pod tides? I think something. Suter is saying England is more beautiful. Yes, it is. Absolutely. And if we're talking about England, I'm talking about England as in England, like the real England, the little villages where I grew up, the villages that are like, you wouldn't even be able to point to them on a map. Crowborough, that's one of them. These little beautiful villages. You have a church, you have a few houses, you have a pub. Probably don't even have a cash machine. You have a cricket green and you have farmland. That is England. That's worth fighting for, ladies and gentlemen. That's if there's anything you want to throw yourself on the altar for, that is it. Forget these big cities. Forget Birmingham, London, Manchester, Sheffield. They're all gay. It's all gay. It's just totally gay. These little villages, the real. I've got a friend, he's Canadian. When he stops over, I go and see him sometimes when he's in London, and I say to him, I say, listen, mate, you need to stop stopping in London. Get your flight to Manchester. Let me pick you up from the airport, and you come and stay with me. And he's like, well, hey, Sean, I got a lot of business in London, so I got to stay there. That is the real England, ladies and gentlemen. My hair. Listen, I've just realized how fantastic my hair is. Should I get an actual page for my hair? Should I get a page for my hair? Right, listen, guys, I'm going to start to close this down now. You guys are obviously fantastic. You're beautiful. Cindy, how can I not have this as my final comment? How can I not have this as my final comment? It's all fake and gay. How can I not have that? How can I not have that as my final comment? That's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Who said shave my hair? Did somebody say shave my hair? Right. Galloway Reader, I'm no shaving my hair until I become the king of Mercia. All right? And I'm not kidding you, right? I do feel like I've got the qualities to be a king. I'm fair. I'm just. And I'll take that sword in my hands and I'll make it and I'll use it if I have to. Do you ken what I mean? Aye, do you ken what I mean? Do you ken what I mean, boy? I'll take that sword. I'll take that sword. And anybody who wants to come into my kingdom, I'll have to take it, boy. I'll have to take it. You'll have to fight with the king first. Band again is saying Cindy's talking about you, all gay and fake. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been fantastic. I'm out of cider now. I'm out of cider. My beer's not ready, so I'm in like that middle ground where I don't know what to do. So I'm not gonna go and buy beer. That's totally gay and fake. But listen, I'm gonna be back on tomorrow morning. Yes, I will. I'm gonna be back on tomorrow morning. But listen, you guys, you fantastic people, you great, powerful people of the United Kingdom, you need to be prepared. Be prepared to fight in Battleground Britain. I'm talking about the ballot box. I am, because the ballot box is where it's at. If you cast your vote, if we all cast our vote to the fair and finest, if we all cast our vote, we can get out of this mess. I don't think we will, because there's too much slim dammering. I think the inevitable violence is here. But listen, either way, you need to be prepared to fight, because we do now live in Battleground Britain. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bid you guys good evening. I think I'm going to go and get a pizza. Might even get something else. I don't know. I might do a little short video. I might put it on my story later on TikTok. But anyway, guys, I will bid you all good night. I'll catch you in the morning.